Hey everyone and welcome back. If you are new here then hello, my name is Zoe and this is my YouTube channel. Today we are trying out the Foxy eye lift or the Foxy eye makeup trend, Fox eye makeup, whatever you want to call it. I've seen this everywhere at the moment and I absolutely love this makeup. I think this is my favourite I've done for a while. My inspo for this is definitely like Bella Hadid makeup, Kendall Jenner makeup. They always have like this beautiful shape to their eye. I thought I would try the Fox eye makeup out for myself and I absolutely love it. So I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks on how to create this illusion. We're going to do the whole face today. So if you want to see how we got this Foxy makeup, then keep watching. So we want to try and create like this kind of illusion, like our brow is lifted and our eyes are a nice sort of like feline shape. So I am going to do one brow in this tutorial because I need to just manipulate them a little bit to make them a little bit more straighter. I'm going to show you a little trick which you can use to do that instead of having your brows quite rounded. My last tutorial, which I'll leave in this corner, was actually my brow routine, but that's not going to work for the way that I want to do this makeup, so I'll leave that here. If you want to go and see that, it's how I do my brows, like really fluffy big brows. So I'm using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil and I'm going to fill them in with a pencil today because this is going to help me just change the shape of them a little bit. So instead of doing them quite rounded, I want them to be like as straight as I can because I think Bella and Kendall both have like quite straight brows. I'm just filling the front bit slightly. And then when I come to the tail, I'm just going to try and just sort of straighten it off rather than bring it down. Doing this with the shape of your brow as well will also help like create that illusion with your eyes. It'll just emphasize everything just a little bit more. Okay, and then I can just use this concealer to just help emphasize that shape. If you use quite a thick concealer, it will help just hide these hairs. I'm not gonna pluck my eyebrows out for one tutorial. My eyes are a little bit red today because I did a really colourful look yesterday and it took me so long to get my makeup off last night. I think my eyes are kind of still feeling the effects of that from yesterday. Okay, so now my brows are a lot straighter, which is going to give the illusion of a more lifted eye, which is going to help us when we do our wings in a second. So for the eyes, I'm going to use the Lunar Beauty palette by Manny. This is the Life's a Drag palette, and I'm going to use like more neutral shades, and I really love the neutrals in here. You can do this with literally any colour though, any colour palette. As long as you use the same techniques, it will turn out exactly the same. So this is the palette that I'm going to be using. I'm going to start from light to dark rather than dark and then smudging it out. So the first shade that I'm actually going to use is this one here, which is called Sickening. And instead of using like fluffy blending brushes today, I'm going to use more like flat ones just so I can keep it like in a concentrated area. The main focus of the eyeshadow today is going to be on this outer corner. We're not going to be applying too much like in this area. So I'm going to start with the wing first and then I'll just apply, to be honest I haven't decided what I'm doing with this inner corner. That's why I'm starting with the outer corner. So I'm going to pick up Sickening just on the tip of this brush and I'm going to actually start from underneath my eye. So I'm just going to follow this line and I'm just gonna kind of wing out the shadow and I'm aiming for this tip of this brow, so just lightly, and then I'm gonna close my eyes and then I'm gonna come from that line and come down to the center. So we're kind of creating just like a triangle on the outside of the eye. You could do this the other way around, so start with like your darker colours or just do an eyeliner first and then smudge it out. But I feel like it might just be a little bit easier, especially if you are a beginner or you've not done this before, to like start from light and work to dark. Okay, and then any excess I'm just going to bring to this inner corner just so you can't really see where it starts or finishes. But you kind of want most of it from like the middle out, so it just really emphasises in like elongates this outer corner. Okay, then next I'm going to move on to like a smudger brush. I'm going to pick up this one now, which is called Hunty, slightly more on the cooler side. I'm just going to get this and I'm going to smudge this closer to the lash line on this outer corner, but I'm not winging it out as much as that other shade. So making a kind of smaller wing now on this outer corner. And I'm not going to blend this one any further across from the middle. I'm just going to try and just taper it off around here. And then if you want to pick up your first shade, just to help like buff it out a little bit, make it look a little bit more smoky, you can do. Okay, so now I'm going to darken it up a little bit more. So I'm going to go in with Morgue, which is more of a deeper brown. I'm just going to use the exact same brush that I've just been using. Just pick up a tiny bit, and again, right on this very outer corner. The darker that you go, try and keep closer to the lash line. I'm just going to blend this right into my lash line. I might use just a little bit of a smaller brush to do my wing, so just smudging this on each corner first. Just going to use a little angled brush to do a wing, and just sort of keep going over it until it tapers out. Okay, then I'm just going to take that very first shade that we used, and I'm just going to bring some from that wing over. Then in my Nip and Fab palette, which I'm going to be using later, it's got a nice sort of skin tone shade in there, so I'm going to pick that up. I'm just going to pat a little bit of that just on this inner corner because the concealer has started to crease a little bit. So this should help just blend out those creases and hopefully just set it in place. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is just line my top waterline with a black pencil. This is just going to help bring it together a little more, and especially in this outer corner, again, it's going to help close the eye, make it a little bit more almond shaped. Okay, then I'm going to use my angled brush just to dip into that liner. Press this right next to the lash line and right on the very outer corner, and then I'll just do like a little tiny wing with this. So the darker that you go, the closer inside the triangle that we made first that you come, so it goes from dark to light, so there's a nice transition. Okay, then I'm just going to give my lashes a quick curl. And then for mascara, I'm using the L'Oreal Lash Powder, so I'm just going to really layer this up, especially on this outer corner. So for lashes, I'm going to use these ones, which I got from Savers. They're called Perfect 10 Texture Lash. They remind me a little bit of the Ardell Demi Wispies a little bit. So they do go from short to long. I really want to only emphasise the lashes on the corner, so it really emphasises that sort of winged out shape. So I've cut off the outer third. So this is the section which should have gone on the inner corner. I'm just going to apply that to the outer corner because I have that small lash there to kind of taper it in. And then just to add a little bit more sort of a wingness to the outer corner, I don't even know if wingness is a word, I'm going to apply the longest section just to this outer corner just to emphasise that a little bit. Okay, so I've got my more tapered section first, which would have been the inner corner. And I'm going to pop this on the outer corner. What I'm going to do is angle the lash upwards. So I'm not going to, in this outer corner, place it, ooh, don't fall. So on this outer corner, I'm not going to place it directly against my lashes. I'm going to come up as an angle. But on this outer corner, I'm going to lift it up slightly so it won't be directly next to my lashes. So this outer corner is not actually touching my lash line, but it is here in this inner corner. Sorry, this chair's so squeaky. It is here in this inner corner, just so I don't want to be able to see that sticking up. And then with this longer section, I am again applying it at an angle just on the top of these. So let's move on to skin now. So for my base, I am going to use the Elcie Micro Silk foundation. I'm using the shade Natural mixed with vanilla, but mainly vanilla. And I'm just going to pop this on with a foundation brush and then I'll blend it out. I have done a flawless base routine, so I'll leave that linked here because it's quite an in-depth tutorial, but it's just on the skin, so I'll leave that linked up there if you are interested in watching that after this. Okay, then for concealer, I'm going to use the Barry M, the full coverage concealer. It's all night long full coverage, and it's in the shade Oatmeal, which is number 2. So I am going to highlight underneath my eyes. So this is really just to kind of conceal because I'm quite red underneath. And I'm just going to be careful of how I blend this back, like up to this line. I don't want it to be like a sharp line, I still want it to be quite soft and smoky, so I'm just going to start blending underneath and then I'll just really taper it out the closer that I get to that line. I'm going to get right into this inner corner because we haven't put any product there yet, so I can get right in there. Okay, then I'm going to contour. I'm actually going to use this concealer stick from Urban Decay. It's the 24/7 concealer pencil and it's in the shade M16. And I've had this for ages, but I've only just found a sharpener that works for it. So I'm going to use this today as a bit of a change. And to blend that out, I'm just going to use my usual Real Techniques contour brush. And as usual, I'm just going to blend a bit onto my cheeks as well. I really like the shade of this contour stick. It's very creamy. It's like the Rimmel ones. Nice and blendable. And then I'll just do a little bit on my nose. And then any excess I'll just take around my jawline. And then I'm just going to highlight my under eyes, maybe a little bit on my chin. I'm using the MAC Studio Fix concealer in NC25. So I'm just going to go right here. Do a little bit on my nose. Well, that's not my nose, that's my chin. And I'll just do a little bit there. And then just in here, I'm only blending this in like a small sort of triangle shape because I like here to be like most bright. So I'll blend most of it here and then I'll just taper it out. Okay, so let's set this now. I'm going to use the Nye Cameo Powder and I'm going to pick up just enough to kind of set everywhere today because my skin is a little bit more dry at the moment, so I don't really want to bake anywhere. So I'm just going to set my under eyes and then the rest of my powders that I'm going to use, like bronzers and things, that will set like the rest of my face. So I'll just use this for the centre really and around my nose. Bronzer time. I'm going to use the Nip and Fab palette for my bronzers today and I'm going to use that middle one there. So I'm just going to tap this on because obviously we haven't set the outer area, so I don't want to start like moving any of the foundation underneath like what I've already done. So just patting it on just with a really light hand, just so it applies a little bit easier and it doesn't move any of the foundation. For my blush, I'm just going to use this corally one just on apples. And then for highlight, I haven't actually got a highlight out, so I think I'm just going to try and use this shade from the palette that we've used, which is called Beat. I'm sure I've used this as a highlight before. And then we can just quickly finish our eyes now. So for the outer corner, all I'm going to do is just line in the waterline with this black pencil, but I'm not going to go all the way in. I'm only going to go sort of halfway, just from where we've blended that shadow around. So I'm just going to pop some of this in here. And then we need to do the inner corner now. So I'm going to use, I've always been quite rubbish at doing this, to be honest, so I'm hoping this goes okay. I'm going to use that angled brush again, and I'm going to use Mug with a bit of Shady, which is the black shade, And I'm just going to line this tear duct. My tear duct bit here is like really round, so I struggle trying to get this into a point, if I'm honest. You can make it sort of as prominent as you want as well, but I'm just going literally just over the very edge, just to create a little point at the end. And then I'm also going to try and do this underneath as well. Okay, so that is the Foxy eyes finished. I absolutely love this makeup. I think this is what I'm going to wear after lockdown when we can finally go out. For lip liner, I'm going to use the Kylie Cosmetics Dolce K lip liner. And to fill that in, I'm going to use the Candy K liquid lipstick from Kylie Cosmetics as well. So take these out. I haven't done a winged out makeup for so long, but I absolutely love it. I never used to go out the house without a winged eyeliner on. So this is my Foxy eye makeup look. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you did down in the comments. And I really hope you did like it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe as well. And I will see you next week in my next one. Bye!